Hey, hello, you wonderful and free spirit. This is Anton Benning, and let me begin as I begin every day. My friends, one life. Just one. So, why aren't we running like we are on fire towards our wildest goals and dreams? And most of us don't do so because we have settled for less. We have become comfortable, and comfortability is an enemy to reaching that which you want, to living that life that you truly want to live. We have to become comfortable being uncomfortable if we want to, let's say, achieve our goals and live our dreams. Now let us dive into today's lesson. I've been a couple of months ago during an event from the Proctor Gallagher Institute. All of a sudden, Arash Fasui, he said, these are the 6 principles that I asked myself if I grew 1% on them on a daily basis. And I've heard it so often before that all that we have to do is grow only 1% every single day. And over the course of a year, we'll have grown, even if we only grow ourselves mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, only if we do that, let's say, only on work days. Like you'd grow 250% over the course of a year, 1,000% over the course of 4 years, if we'd only work on those things that we see as the principles that would propel our lives forward. Now, I've been thinking about this and working on it for almost the past decade. And I did it myself first by asking myself 3 simple questions every single day before ending the day and answering these questions for myself. And even though that worked amazingly, it wasn't specifically dedicated to growing specific principles yet. And I've been looking for these principles that when you grow those principles, you cannot do different but propel your life forward. And these principles, when you look at them, you're like, okay, that is what I got to work on a daily basis. And the first one, for example, work every single day on your self-image. And your self-image is the way that you see yourself. And your self-image can be seen as a cybernetic mechanism. A cybernetic mechanism is, say for example, that kind of mechanism that you'd find in a thermostat. That when you put the thermostat, we live in Europe, so we think in Celsius, to let's say 20 degrees Celsius, if you open the door and the temperature starts to drop, the radiator, the heaters go on, and the temperature starts to rise again. And that's just an automated system that guides that whichever it needs to guide to wherever the set point for it is. And our self-image works in the same way. The way that we see ourselves, that is where our body, our mind, our emotions, our actions bring ourselves back to. So if we have a self-image of being poor, we'll be poor for the rest of our lives. If we have a self-image of being overweight, we'll be overweight for the rest of our lives. Unless and until we change our self-image. So that is how vital it is to working on growing your self-image. And then the second principle it doesn't really matter which order you take these principles in, but these are the principles that when you work on them, like you grow every aspect of your life. The second principle is your standards. And Tony Robbins is also very big on raising your standards. It doesn't matter what you want out of life. You can have it by raising your standards. Raising your standards in your health, raising your standards in your the way that you operate with your money, raising your standards in the way that you go towards your relationships. Like how do you treat people? Raising your standards in anything and everything can bring you to the next level in life. And then we have the third principle, let's say attitude. And what is attitude exactly? Attitude is our thoughts, our feelings and our actions combined. It is not just our thoughts, it's not just our actions, it's not just our feelings. It is all of it together. So when we take action upon changing our attitude for the better, it starts with our thoughts. We can change our attitude by changing our thoughts, because through our thoughts, like our emotions will change. And through our emotions, we will take different actions. If we feel better, we take better actions. If we feel worse, we'll take worse actions. Let's say, for example, when do your bad habits most often kick in? Let's say, for example, for most people, this is at the end of the day when their willpower is depleted. So when you work on your attitude, make sure that you start it by changing the way that you think. Think better thoughts, to have better feelings, to create better actions. And so you'll improve your attitude. Then we move on to the fourth principle to up your life to the next level, and that is accountability. And accountability is, you can say, for example, that accountability is your success guarantee. Because if you are accountable to yourself, you're constantly like trying to be in a battle with yourself against yourself. So with accountability, it is really good to find someone who you know and trust, that you can keep each other accountable. So that whenever somebody needs to be hard on you, it doesn't always need to be you being hard on you. And then there's a second way of accountability, which might be the best accountability partner in the world. That is your goal. Let your goal be your most important accountability. When you look at your goal and you're like, I really, really want it. I want it so bad. I desire it. Like, you can look at your actions and on the other side look at your goal. And you can be asking yourself, are my actions in alignment to me getting where I want to be? And then we move to the last two principles, the double D. Discipline and decision. And decision and discipline go hand in hand. Because when we make a decision, it is essential that we are disciplined to take action upon that decision almost immediately. Because when we don't take action upon our decisions, let's face it, we don't really deserve to win. And with decision making, like, a lot of people, they get it wrong because they look at it from another way. They look at it, all right, like, this is what I've got, this is where I am, so I can decide to have that, or I can decide that I want that. But that's not the right way to make a decision. The right way to make a decision is, the only prerequisite to making a decision is, do you want it? Not do I have enough money, not do I have, am I fit enough? Say you make a decision to run a marathon. You're unfit. That's not a reason to not run a marathon. That's the reason you could still set that goal if you want it, but you just have to start moving forward. Take the small steps and be disciplined about the steps that you gotta take. So those were the 6 values that I've learned recently, and the way that I check myself upon the fact if I worked on all of these different principles on a daily basis is by asking myself, did I grow by 1% today regarding my self-image? Did I grow by 1% today regarding my accountability? And by writing that out in my journal and asking myself, all right, so why did I grow today for 1% in my self-image or not? I can look at, all right, what did I do and what can I do better the next day? And you don't have to be hard on myself. I'm also not hard on myself, because you cannot grow every single day on all these different aspects. But what you can do is try to. And when you fail, or let's say failure is only failure when you quit. You don't have to give up. Only when you give up, you fail. So when you say, for example, I didn't grow for 1% on my self-image today, you can say, all right, what can I do tomorrow to make it happen without having to be so hard on yourself? So let us start now, like changing our lives for the better by working on these super important principles on a daily basis, by working on growing our self-image, by working on growing our accountability, by working on growing our decision-making ability, by working on growing our discipline, by working on growing our attitude, and by working on growing our standards. So let us move forward in life from where we are to where we want to be. Step to and through our fears so we can achieve our goals and live our dreams, because that is what I truly believe everybody deserves. And the only thing we got to do is start moving forward. Thank you very much for listening today. I would love to wish you a wonderful weekend, my friends. Live with love and live with passion.